that I never thought to ask. I was wondering. Okay.
All right, well, it looks like it is 11 o'clock. Are we all ready to get started, Gretchen?
Let's do this.
Perfect. Well, welcome everyone. We are so glad that you are here with us. We are going to talk Bitmoji Classroom and clickable choice boards today. Our second session for launch, which is going on all week and we're really excited for. There are lots of different sessions running at the same time and they will be recorded and we will get them put up, I'm assuming, on the blog. Yep. If there are ones that you wanted to watch at a later time. So yes. My name is Alicia Shank. I'm one of the instructional coaches with the board, and I am joined here by my lovely friend, Gretchen.
Hello, bonjour. I'm the elementary Indigenous Education Special Projects teacher. So I'm part of the elementary program department as well. Yeah, thanks for joining us today, everybody. Okay, so we'll start here just with this important map. It shows the First Nations in the Kent District School Board catchment area and some photos of the beautiful waterways that we have in our area. We're so lucky to be surrounded by rivers, so many rivers and lakes and streams in this area. We use these bodies of water for recreation, industry, sustenance, and they are also homes to many, many plants and animals that provide food and also help to keep our environment clean. We must acknowledge that this area looked a lot different not too long ago. The areas that we farm and shop and live are the traditional territories of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. And it is their belief that they are part of the land that sustains all life. And it is the sacred responsibility of all people to ensure that the environment remains protected. We must acknowledge that through treaties, the mutual sharing of this land was agreed upon. And within those treaties, there is an obligation and responsibility to care for this land that extends to all peoples. Okay, so just take this acknowledgement as encouragement to reflect and to make a commitment to the land and to the people who have lived here for thousands of years. Okay. All right, so we're ready to get started. So what is a Bitmoji Classroom? Okay, so maybe you've been seeing them on Twitter or on Facebook. I know that there are Facebook groups for Bitmoji Classrooms, and if you're brand new to them, they're really a great way for teachers to share links and resources and games and activities with their students. Okay? And they can be engaging for students because they can be really aesthetically pleasing. And it's a really good way for teachers to connect with their students in an online learning environment. But we're going to talk about ways that you can use them in your face-to-face classroom as well. Okay, so you can create your own Bitmoji using the Bitmoji app on your phone or on your iPad and put it into your Google Slides. So that's what we'll be talking about today, using Google Slides for your Bitmoji Classroom, but you could use Keynote as well or PowerPoint. But Google Slides seems to be one that most teachers are familiar with in our board. But you don't even really have to use a Bitmoji if you don't want to either. So we'll talk about that a little bit too.
I think, Gretchen, one thing that I did kind of want to add when I was thinking about Bitmoji Classroom and the intention of kind of using it is it's nice to keep all of the resources in one spot, easily linked, so that we're just trying to keep it as simple as we can. This is a really nice way to directly link them where they need to go without, them losing pages and all sorts of things.
Yeah, and just what we were talking about earlier too is, sending kids just out to the internet to look for something is not very effective. And especially for the younger students too, like this is a really good way to have all those resources all together and easy for the students to access. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing a Bitmoji Classroom that I made back at the end of May for June. For Indigenous Heritage Month or Indigenous History Month. And I wanted to have it as an outdoor learning commons, so I searched up a picture of an outdoor learning space, and I wanted it to look cool, like these links are all sitting on easels outside, and we can sit on the ground and read these books together. And I think when I had all these ideas about it, I really kind of lost sight in what was important for the students. Okay? I look at it now and I think, what was I thinking, right? Like, it looks to me, it's cluttered. There's, just stuff everywhere. I was really really more concerned about it being kind of cool and, you know, having these things like this. It's hard to tell which is a link other than just, you know, sliding your mouse around to try to figure it out. I had put some borders around things to kind of give the idea that these are the things that you click on, but you know, they're not really pronounced. So over the summer, I really did a lot of thinking about this because I do really think that this is a really good resource for teachers to use. And I did some reading and I was looking for ways to make it more accessible to students. And I thought that a really important thing to start with would be like a welcome page with some kind of audio instruction or video instruction. So I'm going to click onto the next page, and so it will automatically start for you. So, bonjour. On the next page, click on any of the links that are outlined in yellow to learn. So that automatically plays on this page. So if you were going to share this with your students, they would open it up in presentation, and it would just look like this. The words are here. So if somebody wants to read it, they can read it, or they can listen to me giving the instructions. And so I created this video here in Apple Clips, and it has an emoji setting on it that you can use. So you don't have to use that though. Like you could have yourself on there. You could just have a recording of your voice on there. I chose an emoji because it kind of went along with the Bitmoji theme. And also sometimes I don't feel like being recorded. So that's why I use that there. And so then to get started, click the arrow below. So I made that there. And so click on any this again. And so again, I had my instructions starting up here to play. You can pause it if you don't want to hear it again, but it's there. Everything is outlined in yellow so that the links are really highlighted so that you can tell what is a link. There's not a lot of clutter. I don't have everything held up by easels this time. I chose a very simple background, and I just wanted to keep it very simple. So yeah, those are just some things to think about. And so all of these are links. So this one takes to an activity. This one's a video. There's lots of different things on here. And these include the websites from the First Nations in our area. This one here is a B-Loom, and it takes you to a link, another Google Slide link that is an activity for students, kind of a math and art activity. So we'll make sure to share these links with you too at the end. So yeah, no more clutter, nothing extra, the audio instructions or video instructions, and just really highlight what is a link. So that's what was important to me when I was making this resource here. Okay?
Yeah, and I think it is really, this one, you have all the same great information on it. It is a little bit easier to follow, which for a lot of our students definitely is going to be beneficial. And again, I love those yellow borders and how you made that little video so that kids are clear that they can click anything that has a yellow border. It's an easy way just to provide a bit of clarity for your students.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you. All right, so now I'm going to pass it on to you, Alicia. Okay, so let's see if I remember how to do this. Okay, so yeah, and if you have any questions or anything too, you can put that in the chat, and we will try to address them as they come up or toward the end as well. Okay, so all right, so Alicia, you can share now.
We're going to kind of walk through creating a Bitmoji Classroom. And when I was creating my spaces, or when I am thinking about creating spaces, a few things that I really wanted to keep in mind was the intentionality. I want to make sure that I know the purpose of my virtual space. I know that Bitmoji classrooms are super fun and they're cute and you can play with all sorts of things and you can get really creative. And sometimes we tend to get kind of caught up. I know I have spent endless hours creating Bitmoji classrooms just because they look fun. And at the end, when I'm finished, my thought kind of went to, okay, now how am I going to use this? And I really feel like that is something we need to think about prior to creating these classrooms. So what is the purpose and how will it support student learning? So how are we going to use this with students so that it is actually beneficial and will help us to kind of reach those target goals that we've set? So if you can keep those things in mind, that will be really helpful in all of this. Okay, so I'm going to start right from square one, and I have to apologize because when I toggle in and out of the screens, it gets a little hard to follow sometimes, so I apologize in advance. So I'm just starting with a plain Google slide, and if you right-click on the slide, you can apply a layout, and I always just go to blank, so then there's no subtitles or title texts or anything on it. When you first open it, it will probably look like this with a title slide. Just right-click, apply layout, and you can just go blank. So the first thing that I am going to do is set a background. I have watched quite a few videos, tutorials, and there are specific kind of tags that you can use. So when I do my background, I go just to the background button right here. And when I click on it, I'm going to go to choose image. Okay. And I had already typed in wall and floor background. This is the one that I have had the most success with when I am looking for specific backgrounds. Gretchen, I don't know if there's anything other search terms that you have used that have brought you.
Kind of just that, or simple, what did I type in last time? I think it might have just been simple Bitmoji background. That might, so yeah, there's, and I like this, just wall and floor background. Like that's what we need right there, right? Just nice and simple. For sure.
So I'm gonna just choose one. So I like the simplicity again of this. So I'm going to click on it, highlights in blue, and at the bottom it inserts. I'm going to insert this and just press done. So I have a simple background. If I want to change, for example, the this white on the back, I can just insert a shape that can right over top, and I can make it, I can keep the little gray on there if I want, and then I can change it to whatever color I might like to use, okay, which allows you kind of to customize it to make that nice contrast of colors between what you're using. So once I have my background set and I am happy with that, then I am going to go to insert, and I'm going to go to image. Now here for image, it has all sorts of options. So you can upload a photo that you already have from your computer if you want to personalize it. You can also search the web, or you can use Drive Photos. You can take a picture, or you can search by URL. So I'm again going to go to search the web, okay? And one of the first things that I want to give you as a little tip is to write the word transparent. If you write transparent before, then usually, not 100% of the time, but usually it will give an image that does not have the background in it, so it looks like it belongs there. So if I type in, for example, transparent bookshelf and search that, these are kind of the options that come up, and there's lots of them. You can go through depending on what you want or how you like it. I actually made a folder in my Google Drive that I saved the ones that I like, and then that way you don't have to go through kind of the rigmarole to search it. It's this one right here. This is one of my faves. So click on it, insert, okay, and it will be giant. So you can resize this any way that you want. Okay, so I like it to be kind of short and stocky, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and you can move it. Okay, so I have a little bookshelf there. It might still be a little bit big. I'll have to play with it and move it around. So there is my bookshelf. So I am going to continue, and I am going to insert an image. I'm going to search the web, And I am going to do a transparent whiteboard. Okay, so transparent whiteboards, there are quite a few whiteboards here, depending on what you might like. You can kind of put whichever one in. I'll try this one, see what it does. Okay, so that one again is transparent, looks like it's a shape. It's nice and simple, so I can just place this in. Now, on top of this image, I can add text. So I'm going to insert text box. And I'm going to write, share your strategy. I love math, and my classroom is going to be based around math. So again, I make that bigger. Okay. And I can change to whatever kind of font that I want there. And I also, as Gretchen mentioned, I am going to keep in mind the students who maybe need that little bit of support. I'm going to put a border around it. I'm going to do dark blue. Okay, so right here you can change the border color. You can change the weight of the border to make it a heavier border. Okay, so it now has this blue border. You can make it even thicker if you want. Okay, and there are also different borders that you can use. One thing I also found, if you do choose to put the border around your images, if you go to Format, Borders and Lines, there are also border types here that are a little bit different. So you can do double or triple, thin, thick lines, thin lines. So that just, again, kind of gives you a little bit of opportunity to kind of customize, okay? Now so as Gretchen mentioned, you don't have to put your Bitmoji in. If you do want to include your Bitmoji, you have to have an account on a mobile device or on an iPad. Okay, so you do have to create an account, and there is a Chrome extension that you can include. I am on my MacBook, so I don't have the Chrome extension on this, but on my Chromebook that I use at home, extension, which makes it really accessible. So what I have done is I have saved in my drive some of the Bitmojis that I use pretty regularly so that they are here, that I can just kind of click on them and away I go. So I'm going to click on my Bitmoji and again, insert it. Okay, and my Bitmoji I had to change for my COVID hair that I haven't had a haircut in a little while. So you can, again, resize it, whatever you like with it. You can put it where you would like it to be. Okay. I am going to show you, Gretchen, are there any questions there before I?
Yes, there is. So there's a question about a way to lock things in place. So are you, Kendra, right? Are you thinking about so that if your students go into it so they can't move things? Or is it more for when you're making it?
Both. So
Okay.
I know like I created my own Bitmoji Classroom as well, but yeah, once you start adding a lot of things, once you click on them, sometimes they start to move other things around. So I found it a little bit tricky, so I wasn't sure if there's a way to lock it in there, and I just didn't see that.
I was just looking too, and I was not really able to find anything about that. No. I'll keep looking, but yeah. And so when you share it with your students, there's a way to share it so that they aren't able to edit, that they're only able to see it in presentation mode. So we can share, yeah, we can share that with you in a bit as well.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
Kendra, I agree with you, because actually when I was creating one for the presentation here, I was trying to link things and I was clicking on things that were, you know, overlapped by other images. So it does kind of get a little sticky, and I did look for a lock feature and could not find one. To say that there isn't one there, there might be, but we will definitely keep looking, and if we find something, we'll pass along that information for sure. Okay. Okay, so I am going to show you quickly how to link within your page. Okay, so if I write the question 33 plus 18, and I might want my students to go ahead and show me how they solve this strategy, or how they solve this question using whatever strategy they're comfortable with. I might want to link this to a Jamboard, for example. So I have Google Jamboard open, and I have created a presentation that is just a simple slide deck in which the students will go in and will find their name. So they each have their own slide that is just blank. This is also something I was thinking about, was for students who needed differentiated questions. If maybe they're not at the same place with their conceptual understanding, maybe they need a question that's a little bit lower. Maybe some students are ready for some more challenging or working at a different place on the continuum. So this is also an opportunity that I could change this student's question on here so that she maybe uses a number. Okay, so there is opportunity for you to differentiate these. So once I have this Jamboard completed, I am going to click on my title here, and I'm just going to copy it. Okay, so you can either right click to copy. I used Command D on my MacBook, and then I'm going to go back. So I want them to be able to link to share your strategy. So I'm going to make sure that that box is clicked, and I'm going to go to Insert, down to Link. Okay, and then paste that link and press Apply. So what that does is when you present, and it only works when you're presenting, when the students go to that share your strategy and they click on it, it's going to take them right directly to the Jamboard where they can fill in their information. So that is one way, if we are talking online learning, to still be able to see the different strategies. I've seen teachers use it kind of as a number talk. And again, with the Bitmoji Classroom, it's a nice way for teachers to integrate it into their kind of everyday routine of show us your strategy and kind of work on that. Okay. Another thing that you can do is you can also link to another slide on your slide deck. So for example, if I wanted to get a picture of a hundreds chart, for example, you wanted to put it on the next page. If again, I was to click on whatever image I wanted it to link to, okay, and I press Insert and go down to Link, another option here says Slides in this presentation. Okay, so I will add a blank slide just kind of so you can see. Okay, so if I click on myself, Insert Link, okay, Slides in this presentation. When I click on that, it's going to say next slide, last slide. You can connect it to any slides within the presentation. Okay, so that's kind of a nice feature if you have something that you want kids to be able to access that's not a website, for example. You just want to have it right in the presentation.
There were some questions about Jamboard. Okay, so yes. Someone asked if you could quickly just review how you attach the Jamboard link.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So when you go into Jamboard and you just create whatever you want, and there's a session that will be recorded if you are curious about Jamboard. But once you have your Jamboard created, all you have to do is copy the link at the top here. I hope you guys, can you see that? I know there's kind of a toolbar here.
Yeah, we can see it.
But you copy that link at the top, and all you do is then go back to your Bitmoji Classroom. You click on and highlight whatever you want it to attach to. You go to Insert, down to Link, and then you just paste the address from your Jamboard and press Apply. Right? So it's like a copy and paste. You just have to make sure in your Bitmoji Classroom that whatever item you want it to link to, you have that highlighted. Does that help?
There were some questions too specifically about Jamboard. And so will students have to scan through to their name each time in Jamboard? And can they see each other's responses?
So yes and yes. So the reason that I did that for Jamboard is just so that you don't have two students starting to create their work on the same slide. I find that including a name on each slide is just helpful to keep them organized and to really just minimize that time. So they will just need to scroll through, but it's pretty quick that they just go through. So if I'm Megan or Caleb or Tawny, I'm just going and finding my page, and then I can start working on that page. And yes, they can see each other's work if they scroll through. And again, it's just that conversation I know when we first got into remote learning, but having with those students and saying, you know, you work on your own page and only your own page. As a teacher, if there's a student who, for example, is doing something really interesting, or maybe a strategy that you know one of your other students might be interested in, you can say, hey, Gretchen, go and check out Lori's slide. She's using a really interesting strategy, and then they can scroll through and see whatever slide you ask them to.
I like that. Okay, so how do you ensure that it is linked to a student-specific Jamboard? That kind of just putting that link in, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Sure
So whatever link you put in there, that will help to direct them right to there.
Okay, and Samantha said you can click the top square and it will bring up multiple slides so students can scan quicker to find their slides. So on Jamboard.
Oh, you Sam. Okay, so let's just do one more image. I'm going to search the web and I'm going to type in transparent white bin art, because I want to put some math tools, for example, in my shelf here. I'm going to find this plain white one. A lot of them are kind of recycle bins or garbage cans, which I don't want. So if we create this, and again, it's going to be really big. I can resize it. I can spread it out. I can make it however I want it. Okay. And I can stick them on here. Oh, it's too big for my shelf still. So I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, but I might make it a little bit wider. Okay. What I can do here is there are all sorts of the Mathies apps, for example. I want to connect it to, say, the color tiles, or I want to connect it to the math pieces or the base 10 blocks from Mathies. You can also connect it just to a website for those virtual manipulatives. And again, using that same process, click on it, insert, link, and then you just paste whatever website URL that comes up in your address bar that you want to connect to that. Okay. Any other questions kind of about, I'm not going to walk through doing the whole thing. I do have a finished one and I will show you if we are okay with this, or if there's anything more.
So those are all the questions that we had so far. So yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I am going to switch back over to the Bitmoji Classroom that I kind of have finished here. Okay, so this is what my virtual math space kind of ended up looking like. Gretchen mentioned a few things that really, really had me thinking. Keeping the intention, keeping it simple, ensuring that our virtual spaces are accessible to all students. And then again, when we first started talking about Bitmoji and thinking about those students who maybe need voice instructions, who wouldn't necessarily be able to navigate this on their own, we really need to be mindful of those students and what we're giving them. So here, for example, the same as Gretchen did, when I click on this Hi Friends bubble, it brings me to a video that I created using clips. And it just gives a little bit of instructions.
Hi friends, thank you so much for joining me today in our virtual math classroom. First, I would like you to head over to the whiteboard and click on share your, remember, anything with a blue border around it, you can click on.
Okay, so I'm not going to make you sit through my instructions, but just giving the students an opportunity to kind of hear what you want them to do is really helpful for them. So they know first they're going to go and do the Jamboard, then they are going to be directed that any of those math manipulatives that are on the shelf will link to something. So for example, if I go to the base 10 and click on that, this is going to take me to number pieces by the Math Learning Center. Okay, so this is trying to replicate what we have in the classroom. We know when we're in the classroom, students have access to all of these math tools, and my purpose to provide them with the same opportunity using these online tools as if they were in the classroom. So they can go ahead and use this, it links them right to it, and they can use the base 10s however they need to. Okay. If they are on an iPad, we'll link them and it will encourage them to just open the app, and that's simple. They can do that as well. Okay. I also here did a link to a hundreds chart, which just links them to another page. It's just there as reference. So when they click on this, it just gives them a big screenshot of a hundreds chart if they need that to support. Okay. And on this easel picture here, another Jamboard that I created for them to play a game. So a math game. So once they've done their question, shared their strategy, then I want to work specifically on a certain strategy from the continuum, and it brings them to the game 100, 1 and out. So same thing on this. I assign them partners. So Caleb and Candace, when they come on, they will see that they are partners. They are going to play together. Brody and Tawny, same thing. They're assigned a partner, so they can go on and they can actually write on this page, and that allows them to kind of engage with the game, and it also allows them to still engage whatever is in the Bitmoji Classroom. Okay.
So we had a question here. Beth asked, how often would you change your classroom? And so for math, would you have a different classroom each day or each week? So.
Yeah, Beth, I'm so glad you asked that, because I was thinking about that. I would love, in a perfect world, to be able to create one kind of space that has all the tools that you need. And so, for example, this classroom, if I was going to do this as a routine every day, and I kind of set out, 20 minutes or half hour for students to come on, to share their strategies, to work on those simple operations, and then engage in a math game, I might use this classroom over and over again, and I might just change out the game, and I might change out the question. All of this stuff can actually stay here, because the purpose of this room for me is providing students with those basic routines and giving them the opportunity to use the math tools, to use the 100 chart, and to play games, which I would do in my class every day. So again, it goes back to that intentionality piece and how you want to use your classroom. It would be great if we could kind of minimize the amount of work that we're doing and be able to reuse this. So this can change to multiplication, it can change to division. We can probably even do concepts using these math tools as well. So hopefully if you really intentionally plan it, then you can use it for long periods of time.
Yeah. And if you think about like your face-to-face classroom, you have those resources available all the time and the students know how they're organized. So like if you set it up like this, or if you have like one that's specifically for say morning meeting or something, right?
Yes.
But you have those routines the same, have those resources the same, and just change up a few things here and there, right? Just have that routine to it at the starting. So yeah.
Absolutely. Even this, for example, including the dice there, then we don't have to worry about those students who maybe don't have a set of dice at home, that it is accessible here and they can still participate and they're not stressed that they don't have it in their home, or maybe they have it in their home but they don't know where it is. So just providing them with opportunity. We need to keep this as stress-free as we can. So really just thinking about what we want to provide our students, and that's what is great about Bitmoji. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, I think we're ready to move on. Yep.
Okay. So one more thing I wanted to show you. This is another one that I had created earlier on when we were doing office hours. And this was kind of I did the same thing as Gretchen and was like, oh, it looks really great. They know what to click on. So again, just going back, and you can easily, I'm going to go out of present mode just because I don't want to go to them, but you can click on an image and you can right click, okay, and you can add that border again. If I was to go back and do it all over again, I might put borders around all of these as well. So again, students know what they can click on. So it's not a mystery and they're not wasting time trying to figure out. So they can click on any item, you put that border there, and maybe I want to include an audio message of how this is used. The intention of this, again, is just to link to virtual manipulatives. So yeah, so we will be sharing, Gretchen and I both will be sharing links to what we're sharing with you today so that you can use and edit them, and hopefully they'll be of use for you. Okay,
there's another question about Jamboard. Once kids fill out the game, does the work stay there so we can look at it later?
Yes, yes. So you can look at it real time. And again, there is a Jamboard session going on that you probably will find really useful. Jamboard is amazing and it was new to me and it has a lot of potential, especially if you are in that remote learning or online learning platform, but also within your classroom. If you have devices, it's really great. So yes, you can still see it and you can see working in real time on it as well. And you can provide feedback right there. So it's just as slick as the other Google suites that are, okay? Okay. Gretchen, I'm gonna stop sharing. Is that?
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So let's see here. So I'm going to share. So this one, so people had questions too about clickable choice boards. And so essentially a clickable choice board is the same idea as a Bitmoji Classroom. It might, this one that I'm going to share has more slides in it. So it is an entire Google slide deck. So each one of these links would link to a different slide in the Google slide deck. And let's see, same thing, just keep it organized and make the links, the clickable links obvious so that students are able to see what is a link on this. So give instructions that are clear with audio if possible or video. And so this is one, it was funny because when we started working on this presentation, I said, okay, I'm gonna make a Orange Shirt Day clickable choice board because that's what's coming up and I'd really like to share it with teachers. And so I remember that Melissa Dent had made one that she had shared with me. So we went over it and changed it up a little bit for today. So I added some things to it and it has the audio instructions to start. As you can see, there are multiple slides on this one. And this has all resources so that students can complete work, do activities. So there's my video explaining it again. Click here. And so start here. So this is where we wanted to ensure that students went to this one here to make sure that they are watching that one. And on the pages, so if you go to one of these here, there's a bit.ly down here, and you can type that in, and it has more information for teachers as well. Let's see here. So yeah, you're welcome to use this with your class. We recommend probably the as we know, the topics around Orange Shirt Day and residential schools in Canada can be quite upsetting, and so it's important to really know your students before you send it out. We're recommending grade 5 and up for this one, and I'm hoping to have something like this done for the younger grades as well to share out for Orange Shirt Day. So September 30th, Orange Shirt Day, and we're hoping that even if we are in remote learning, or if you are in face-to-face, or if you're teaching remote learning, or if you're teaching face-to-face, that we make sure that we do address this in our classrooms. So I wanted to show, oh, there's a question that came up. Is there a question that came up, Alicia?
Yep, so Christine was just asking about how they access this. So I was just writing actually in the chat that we will share a link at the end of the presentation that has the links that you will be able to access it all.
Yeah. Okay, and I want to show you how you can share this so that only, so students don't get into the edit part, right? So it's only sent to them as a presentation. So if you copy this, copy your link, okay, right? And then you paste it. So I'll show it to you in, let's see here. Oh, here we go. I can't see, all my stuff is in the way here. So I'll do it on this here. So if we copy and paste it here, let's see, we can, you'll see on here where it says edit. Okay, can you see that on there? If you change that edit to presentation, or is it present? Now I'm sorry, I'm confused right now. If somebody could help me out there, let's see. Oh yeah, you want to change it to presentation, sorry. It will make it so that when they click on that link, it will just go right to the presentation. So they won't be able to edit it. It's not forcing a copy. They will, it will open in the presentation. If you want to make it so it forces a copy, but then they are able to edit, then you'll type in copy here. Okay, so that's not, so if you're doing like a Google Doc that you want them to fill out, that's something that you can do, is put copy in there. But so we, if we want it to be on presentation, that's what we will type in there. Okay, so let's see here. All right. One thing that we found too when we were working on this, and we really wanted to think about accessibility, one thing that we really noticed was students use accessibility apps like Google Read and Write or the VoiceOver on the iPad. These Google Slides presentations are not readable by those apps. Okay, so if you're in a distance learning situation, students might have parents or people at home who are helping them who may need to use translation apps or image readers on their devices. So again, in the presentation mode, these are not unreadable. So, I mean, these are unreadable. So if you're planning on using Bitmoji Classroom or choice boards, I even recommend sending like a Google Doc with a list of the links on it as well, so that it just makes it a bit more accessible to the people who need to use those reader apps and Google Read and Write. There's some questions that came up. Oops.
Yeah, so Kendra was just saying copy would mean only that student can change it and no other students would be able to see what each other did.
Correct, yes. So if you're using Google Classroom or something, that is what you would do. So you'd send that copy and they would turn it in that way in Google Classroom, or if they email it to you or something, right?
She was saying, she was just thinking about if I linked another slide within the presentation and it was a drag and categorize, but she wanted each student to do it. How would I then be able to see if they did it?
Maybe,
So yeah,
maybe it's not the best option to do it in the Google slide. I guess I'm just looking for, like, is Jamboard better for that? But then I don't want, like, if you want it to be private, like, I don't want every kid to see what other kids did, then what's a good app to link so I can have them do a little activity and then I can still see what they did?
Kendra, do you use Google Classroom?
Yeah, I do. So should I, like, can you link, you know how you would, like, post an assignment in Google Classroom? Like, can you link the assignment in your virtual room, like virtual classroom?
I believe you should be able to.
Just because I'm trying to eliminate that extra step of having to, like, click out of the Google Classroom or out of the virtual classroom, go back into your Google Classroom, like where the assignments are. Do you know what I'm saying? Because for, like, grade 3s, it gets complicated when they have to start going in and out of things and clicking on different links.
Mm-hmm. Gretchen, do you know? Do you think you should be able to?
I'm not sure. This I don't know.
Okay, I'll have to keep doing some research, I guess, then on
Yeah,
just
and there is a Google session, a Google Classroom session too, that would be recorded, and they might be able to help you out there as well too, right?
Okay, no problem.
Sam, did you have? I know we're getting a little bit off topic. Yeah, you should be able to make a link to the page, like the URL. So yeah, test it out. I feel like there's got to be a way.
Okay.
Sam, you also mentioned Class Kick. I know that was something that was discussed with the summer learning teachers. I don't know if you're there, if you wanted to maybe pop on quick.
I am here. It would be something to try because it, I think, allows you to do the same thing as Jamboard, but the students won't see each other's work. However, it would not take away the problem from clicking in and out of, like, multiple other things. Still be the same idea.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So there was a question about if you have an image that has a background that you want to use, is there a way to make the background transparent? So I think you do it differently than I do it. I Googled image or background eraser and a website came up, and you just drag your image into there from your files and then it erases the background for you. So that's an easy way to do it. And I think that it works best if the background is pretty, like, that it's not a busy background. So that's the one that I use. Yep. Oh, that might, I think that's
that remove.bg.
Yeah.
There also, for any of the Apple lovers out there, Keynote will allow you to erase a background using the Instant Alpha tool. So if you just open up a Keynote and insert the image in, there's a little paintbrush that's kind of like your formatting. So if you click on that paintbrush and then you go to Instant Alpha, it will highlight it kind of in blue, and it'll just ask you to click on whatever you want removed, and then it does a nice job removing the background as well. So that's in Keynote as well. Yeah. Thanks, Kendra. Okay.
All right.
Anything else?
Right. Yeah, let's see, I'll go back to sharing my screen. Okay. So this here, we made a tiny URL for our resources. And if you want to just scan it, there's the QR code for it too. So yeah, those are for you guys to share. All Alicia's are on there, and mine are on there for you to use with your classroom. And we really, we encourage you to use those in there as well. We don't like you going home empty-handed, so we like to give things. So, so what we have coming up next, do you want to talk about this, Alicia?
For sure. I'm just gonna I put the link in the chat as well if people are more comfortable with that. And hopefully, I didn't check it, but hopefully that will link. So again, thank you so very much for joining us today. I know we're getting close to the beginning, and There's probably all sorts of things going through your mind, so hopefully you found today's session helpful. Moving forward all week, we have an amazing lineup of professional learning. This afternoon, actually at 1 o'clock following this one, Joe Bowler will be on talking about some mathematical mindset. We have Bob Joseph tomorrow. There's also Stuart Shanker talking about self-regulation on Thursday, and we have some discussion. Ajoma will be here to discuss, so you want to talk about race. Chris Sertam on Friday to discuss the new math curriculum. Laurie Santos will be speaking about mental well-being and student happiness and staff happiness. So there's so much going on. We really hope that you can join us. And they will be recorded. Some of the sessions will be shared for future use. I do not know if all of them will be, depending. But
I think it's depending on the presenter if they will be recorded or not. So yeah, I would.
All of these 11 o'clock sessions will be posted on the blog though.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, for Bitmoji Classrooms, they're so fun to make. So just try stuff, right? Like that's really how we learn how to do it. Try stuff out and, you know, think about what that intention is and just have fun doing it, right? Yeah.
Remember the equity piece. We want to make sure that they are accessible to everyone. So just really be mindful of those kids that maybe need that little bit more support and make sure you're thinking about how you can help them. Okay. Awesome. You guys are awesome. Best of luck this year. We will, I'm sure, hear from you a lot, and please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah. Thank you.